Thanks.
Yeah, not
Cool.
a problem, man. Here we go. As soon as YouTube fires up, there it is. Hey, everybody. We made it to Hump Day, and we are almost past that and heading towards the weekend. How y'all doing? I don't know about you guys, but I am still buzzing big time after having Lou Elizondo on the show last night. And, the reactions from all of you on Facebook and Twitter. And it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for all of you in your support of this show and in making last night a great one. We couldn't have done it without you. All right, let's give a quick rundown because I had to miss it last night. Music Maker fan in the gold medal position. Race fan in silver. Mental Pancakes in bronze. Delta, good to see you, man. And thank you for coming on in. Paul John Tavares, still no Stanley Cup for you. Jack Clark and 11, welcome back. Aiden and the gorgeous Katie, glad to have you here. David Paulson, welcome to the show. The gorgeous and talented Kira, she will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the right of the studio if you don't mind. Oob to Joe's Maine, he's got aliens, and he will be signing autographs after the show on the left. So make sure you don't make eye contact with Joe. He doesn't like it. Hey, Jim Morris, good morning to you in the United Kingdom. Thank you for coming on in. Denali Princess, a.k.a. Princess Denali, you are looking lovely down in Texas right now. Boz Monster, I hope your flight was well today if you had one. Good to have you, man. Thank you for coming on in. Hi, Sassy Sandra and Chris Reap. Good to have both of you here. As we scroll on down, John Swan, Peace World, good to have you both here. Nucker, thanks for coming on in. We're second last right now, buddy. Let's play for the draft pick. We are second last. Hi, gorgeous Susan and Lance, welcome back. Hi, Nikki, love you, dear. You're amazing, and I love you. And Steve Stockton from KPNL, good to see you here. Irish Lincoln and the talented and stunning Jessica McCreary as she brushes her hair watching this show. Good to see you here, Jessica. And John Gonzalez, welcome to the show, man. Appreciate that. Gorgeous Jen A and Focus, nice to see you guys. Hi, Major Lee, welcome back. Eugene, my brother in Philly, how you doing, man? Cable Guy Matt is here, man. Cable Guy Matt. Remember, when you buy a t-shirt from Spaced Out Radio Store at facebook.com/the SOR Vault, you're going to get yourself a free piece of coaxial cable autographed by Cable Guy Matt. You cannot buy these in stores, people. Limit one per order. And Cable Guy Matt has put his magic touch on every purchase you make. Thank you, Cable Guy Matt. By the way, Cable Guy Matt's wife was really nice at the drive-thru at Tim Hortons the last couple of mornings. So that's really cool. Really cool. All right. Hi, gorgeous and talented Emily Bigelow, otherwise known as Alaska's greatest athlete. There she is. She's not signing autographs today. We tried to get her to sign some autographs, and she said, no, I've run out of Sharpie ink. Polar Eclipse, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Richard Elmore. And I know what I saw. I know what I saw, too. I saw you in the chat room. Millennium, good to have you here. Randy, thanks for coming on in. Hey, Bassmaster, how you doing? Oh, look who's here, everyone. Look who's here. The lovely and stunning Simply Coco is back, and I know she's going to be blushing over that one. She's going to be, shut up, Dave. Shut up. Don't tell all my secrets. But there she is, everyone. Just oogle. Oogle, I say. Brian, how is it going, man? And B, welcome to our chat room. I believe this may be your first time here. And let's see. Go66, always a pleasure to have you here. And Todd Hunter, welcome back. Teresa Davis, welcome. Mary Bone, she's a vegetarian. Mary Bone, Mary Bone, Mary Bone. Noble Patrick, good to see you. And no, Cable Guy Matt, I request fresh hash browns because when they use the old hash browns, they're as hard as hockey pucks, man. They're as hard as hockey pucks. Can't do that. Can't do that. I like my gums too much. All right. Let's see here. Who else is here? Ozzy. Oi, oi, oi. Hey, Fapster. A Ron. Neil Jones. Good to see you here. Dirty Filth. Always a pleasure to have you here, my friend. UK Andrew. Welcome back. And I think we are officially caught up. Craig Campobasso is our guest. You're going to love him tonight. And it's all about the aliens. We're turning up the woo big time tonight with Craig as I'll fill you in on his new book. It is fantastic. fantastic. This is one that you guys got to get. And Lori Watson, if you're listening, we love you. And thank you for tuning on. By the way, Craig, she did text me back. She did.
Oh, awesome.
Let me see what she said here. She goes, "Hey, you have fun with Craig." Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, we're going to get going here in about 25 seconds. A great way to support this show, everyone, is by giving us a subscribe. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. And don't forget to also give us a thumbs up if you can. The super chat is open for you, and you can buy your shirts at spacedoutradio.com or go to facebook.com/the SOR Vault. Here we go, everyone, in 3 seconds. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. If you wish to take a listen to our archives, we have them free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. It's been a couple years since we had this gentleman on, but I'll tell you, you guys are going to enjoy the woo tonight. Craig Campobasso is a casting director and an award-winning filmmaker. He has been casting film and TV series for over 3 decades and was even nominated for an Emmy for casting David E. Kelley's Picket Fences. Craig directed, wrote, and produced the short film Stranger at the Pentagon, which was adapted from the popular UFO book authored by the late Dr. Frank E. Stranges. It won Best Sci-Fi Film at the Burbank International Film Festival and the Worldfest Houston International Film Festival. That's something I've never been to, is a film festival. But maybe one day, if Craig has another one there, I will go. He is also the author of the Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial Saga book trilogy, and he's got a new book out. It's called The Extraterrestrial Species Almanac. On sale now, online, and we're getting into the aliens tonight. Oh, yes, are we getting into the aliens. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Craig Campobasso, it's been a couple years, but man, when you said, "Hey, Dave, I got a new book out, I want to come on," we were like, heck yeah, brother. Heck yeah. Good to have you back, Craig.
I'm so happy to be here. So good to see you. How you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, every now and again I get a little overtired, but that comes with what we got to do, and I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that though, because every night I get to end on a positive. I got great people in our chat room. We're getting great guests each and every night, thanks to Corns, the booking guy. All my internet stuff is taken care of by some great people like Gail and Spookles the cat. And, you know, I got a great team, man. A great team that is just, you know, working their tails off to make this this great little show grow into something bigger every day.
That is so awesome. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. For our people who may not know who you are, you know, you've made and cut out a very successful career in Hollywood. And here you are, though, dangling on the side into the whole alien phenomena, UFOs. What intrigues you about this subject, Craig?
Well, I was never really into it until I turned 26, and then all of a sudden I had this massive spiritual awakening, and and it just opened me up to what I call the mind internet, where you start making this connection out into the cosmos, into the universe, and I just became spiritually hungry to learn all about what was out there in the universe, all about spirituality and everything. So I just started going, listening to ufologists at conferences, contactees, abductees. I started meeting with contactees and abductees. I mean, one abductee alone he was so terrified because he actually lifted up his eyelids for me and he showed me the apparatus they put around his eyeballs so that he said, the aliens are seeing everything that I'm seeing. And he was so freaked out because he didn't know how to get that out. He would have to go have an operation. So all these things just started sparking my interest more and more and more. And so I've just been really into it for about 35 years and have studied and read up. And a lot of my favorites are the early contactee cases, which were with all human extraterrestrials.
I get that, man. I get that. And over time, I think you were someone who, you take the stories that you hear, you glue them together, and then you allow your audience, your readers, to really decipher their own opinion on everything. Why do you do it that way?
Well, I look at it like this. I've gleaned a plethora of information and I put it together. And really, what I'm doing is I'm sharing it with everyone. And so, in particular, in the ET Species Almanac book, I went to a lot of the contactee cases and to the publishers and to the actual authors who were the contactees and asked if I could use their specific cases and give a thumbnail review of who they were, had artwork drawn up on them, and then in the back of the book, I have a further reading section. So, for instance, if the clarions blew you away, you could go to the back of the book and see, oh, the contactee is Maurizio Cavallo, and this is the name of his book, and this is where I can get it. And then you can read more about his contacts with the clarions. And what's interesting about his case is he actually has photographs of them. And he allowed me to print a male clarion and a female clarion in the book as well. So I just think it's great because it's it's an almanac that people can go to and they can look through it and look at the pictures, read all of the interesting aspects about the different races and why they came here and who's left DNA on the planet and all that kind of stuff, and then hybrids and everything. It just sort of just delves into it. And the idea of the book is for the audience to say, wow, I never heard of that. Let me investigate that a little bit more myself.
We're going to get heavily into your book a little bit later, but for you, you really came onto the map writing about Dr. Frank E. Strange's, and literally that story is all about this character, if I can use that term lightly, Valiant Thor, who is allegedly an alien from Venus. For people not familiar with Doctor Strange's and Valiant Thor, could you give us a little synopsis?
Sure. I came upon the book in the 80s. It was originally released in 1967. And I read the book, and it's vignettes of stories. It's it's a small book. And but there were photographs of Valiant Thor, his vice commander Dawn, and another vice commander named Zan on Valiant Thor's craft, which is called Victor One, which is 300 feet in diameter and is double deckered and holds up to 200 people. So the woman who was with him, her name was Jill, and she is Zan's wife. So those are the ones who were in the photographs that are originally taken at Howard Menger's farm in 1958. And they were taken by August Roberts, who was a retired Air Force photographer and one of the then sort of top amateur ufologists. He had the biggest collection at the time of UFO photographs from around the world. So for those of you who don't know who Howard Menger was, he was a contactee with human extraterrestrials from all over our solar system. And these beings would come in and they would interact with Howard, and Howard would help them get earth clothes and things like that for them to sort of integrate into our society and that kind of thing. Now, he knew who they were because there was a special handshake that was set up. So at this particular meeting, that Howard did confirm that he did have the secret handshake with Valiant Thor as well. So Dr. Frank was in Washington, D.C. in December of 1959. He was speaking at a local church. Every night he was speaking on a different subject, but one of his favorite subjects was UFOs and the Bible. And when he was there, he was approached by a high-level clearance secretary who told him that Valiant Thor wanted to meet with him. Now, you have to we go back a little bit because the photographs came in 58 from August Roberts. August Roberts was friends with Dr. Frank. He called Dr. Frank. Dr. Frank saw the photographs. He told him the story. And he also said that Valiant Thor didn't have any palm prints or fingerprints. So Dr. Frank then blew up this picture of Valiant Thor and had it on his easel, where he had the Adamski craft and told that story. And then he would just say, this is of an alleged man, and would tell the story that August Roberts told him. So this photograph is there, and the secretary points to the photograph and says, he wants to meet with you. And so she made arrangements to pick Dr. Frank up the next morning at 8 a.m. at his hotel. She brought him to the Pentagon and brought him to a door and just said, he's in there. And she started to walk away. And Dr. Frank kind of freaked out a little bit and said, oh my God, how am I going to get out of here? And she smiled and said, the same way you came in. So he walked into the room, and there were three military personnel in there doing different duties at their desks, and none of them ever acknowledged him. And even though he said, excuse me, a few times, and when he came in and shut the door, Valiant Thor was sitting in the chairs right behind the door. And they ended up having a conversation for, I think it was like 30 to 40 minutes. And Valiant Thor told Dr. Frank things about himself that he didn't know, that he later confirmed with his parents. And also, he had brought his spacesuit, which was leaning over a chair, and he allowed him to examine it. And he said that he had allowed our government to test it. They dropped acid on it, and it just rolled off. They tried cutting it with a mazer because they didn't have lasers back then. They tried cutting it with a diamond drill, and nothing would work. So over the years, I've had a lot of time to ponder, and I myself have come to this realization that Valiant Thor was coming to the end of his 3-year stay living in a Pentagon apartment below the Pentagon. So he called Dr. Frank because he knew he was open to who he was, and therefore Dr. Frank sort of became this grassroots campaign that let the world know that Valiant Thor came here and who and what his mission was. And he traveled the world talking about Valiant Thor. Two of the vice commanders, Dawn and Thawne, always accompanied him on these as well. And but if we back up and we hear a little bit more about the beginning of the story, there was a precursor where extraterrestrials came before and announced that Valiant Thor was coming. He's a created being. He doesn't have a belly button, and as we know, he didn't have palm prints or fingerprints. And Dr. Frank said that that created beings are put in the angelic classification, and they are immortal. And so they knew this universal emissary was coming at a certain point, and then they knew the date, which was March 16th, 1957, on a Saturday morning. So they were ready and prepared, and he came with a proposal, a divine design that was to help eliminate sickness, disease, poverty, prolong life, talk to them about the dangers of atomics, since they've been detonating bombs since 47, and explained that it caused a lot of ripples that went out into the universe that offset other planets, and that also go interdimensionally, and that they had to have over 100 ships around the Earth to stabilize its fragile atmosphere with the detonation of the first bomb. So this is when we started having a lot of extraterrestrial contacts, and a lot of sightings began back then, because everyone was coming to see what Earth was up to and blowing things up. So and then also to talk to them about free energy and the way that the universe works, and things of that nature. Now, the time allotted was 3 years, and so during those 3 years, they would discuss the proposal, and if accepted, and they implemented it, they would implement it throughout the United States, and then, when proven successful, then integrate it throughout the world. So, as we know, at the time, the military-industrial complex was getting its legs, and we know the dangers of that even from Eisenhower's farewell address, where he talked about the dangers of the military-industrial complex, because they now had their own agenda. And part of their agenda was to get Thor's organic technology. And they wanted that technology, so they sort of toyed with him. And Dr. Frank also said that when they came, that Eisenhower and Nixon were actually for the proposal, but when it came down to it, they had to take a vote, and it was voted against. So by the time Dr. Frank met Valiant Thor in December of '59, the proposal had been turned down, and that's why I believe that he sort of chose an outsider who was there, and was able to then formulate and put down his story and the things that he learned so that the world would know that he existed. Um, so so that book came out in, like I said, in 1967. Valiant Thor left the planet on March 16th, 1960. He returned 1 year later, has been here ever since, and is here for the full transformation of the planet, going fully conscious and reintegrating into universal society, however long that takes. So it's a fascinating story. It has so many other things. I was very lucky because I got to sit with him for almost 8 years on a weekly basis and hear his stories that were never put in the book, which I put into the feature film, which I'm raising the financing now. So there's any millionaires out there, Dave, call them forth to me.
Oh man, man, we all need a Robert Bigelow in our back pocket, don't we?
Yes, we do.
I got to ask you, as we got about 3 minutes to go here before we go to break, why do you buy the Valiant Thor story?
Well, I at first, when I saw the photographs, I really believed that they were genuine. It was just in my gut feeling, but there was still a part of me that I was like, well, I don't really know if it's true, but it's a fascinating story. But the people that introduced me to Dr. Frank, older couple, they had met Valiant Thor with Dr. Frank. I met since them two other ladies who met him in the 60s when they were around 15 years of age as well. And one of the vice commanders, her name is Teal, and I'll make this short so we can get it in, is at a certain point I got a bowel obstruction and I was put in the hospital and they were going to operate the next day. Only one person knew, one of my closest friends who took me to the hospital. She left me about 11 o'clock at night, and that evening I felt Teal standing over me. I went into a twilight state and I started feeling little bubbles running through my stomach. And I knew that I would be okay in the morning. But when I woke up in the morning, sitting at my bedside was Dr. Frank. And I looked surprised and he said, well, Teal called me early this morning and told me to get down here to tell you she fixed you up last night.
Nice.
So that was my major confirmation right there.
A lot of people, when, they hear a story like Valiant Thor, what you went through, immediately they get their hackles up on whether or not you're telling the truth. Does that bug you in all the years that you've been doing this, that people are no longer taking stories for validity these days?
Well, like I said, all I'm doing is sharing the story. I was lucky to have been with Dr. Frank for the last 8 years of his life, sort of got handed this torch to continue the story. I say what Dr. Frank always told people who were on the fence. If you having problems with it, just set it aside, review it in future and see how you feel at that time. And it's not here for everyone to say this is the absolute truth and this is that. So
right, Craig, I'm going to get you to hold on because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Author Craig Campobasso, we're going to get into alien species starting next. We're going to get into a lot of that tonight, so stay tuned. We're turning the woo up, and an interesting story about Craig's personal life as well, next on Spaced Out Radio. All right, Craig, just a quick reminder, our mics are still hot on YouTube. So.
Okay.
Yeah. And there. That was a fast half hour, man.
It goes by so fast,
right?
doesn't it?
Right? Hold on, I have to sing for one of my audience members. Hey, Mr. Cowley. Dun, dun, dun. Welcome back to the show. Oh, Mr. Cowley loves his spaced out radio. That's the only lines I've developed for him yet. I haven't figured out the second stanza yet. So that's what I do. Mm-hmm. The hell is my camera bouncing around for?
Oh, yeah. You just went to picture.
Yeah. Weird. Weird. Maybe I hit my desk or something. Did I hit my desk? That is weird. I have no idea why my cameras were... Oh, maybe there. Yeah, hold on. I forgot there's a little bit of a delay. Never mind. Never mind. Mm-hmm. Man, we had Luis Elizondo on last night. That was interesting.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a good dude. Hey, Gorgeous Larry. How you doing, man? Dr. Marty, good to see you. Yeah, we... I think we got him to admit that he's actually had or been face-to-face with E.T. Grays.
Oh, I'm sure. Lots of people in the government have.
Oh,
been.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was nice because he hasn't talked about that. He hasn't really talked about that. Joe is saying in the chat room, his mane challenges my mane to a cage match. Joe, your hair is 4 times as long as mine. Your hair will whip my hair's ass. And even my ass hair will be scary or scared. Holy cow, I can't take that bet. You'll win. You'll win. Honestly, he's got great hair. He's got fantastic hair. Mm-hmm. But he's also got aliens. He just doesn't like to admit it. Mm-hmm. You know, when you wake up in the when you wake up in the morning and you think something strange happened, and next thing you know, you're seeing scratches all over your legs, but you don't own cats. That's Joe. That's Joe. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, let's see here. We've got about 2.5 minutes, my friend.
Okay.
Wonder if Lori's listening. She's not texting me. Lori Wagner, if you're listening, we say hello to you.
Yes, Lori Wagner.
Who doesn't love a little Lori Wagner in their life? My audience will be like, who's Lori Wagner? You'll never hear her on this show. Never hear her, but she is a major player in the background.
Yes,
major
she is.
player. That beautiful lady is totally connected. Totally connected. Yes. And everybody who meets her just absolutely loves her.
Oh, man. She's amazing.
Isn't she?
Yeah.
Isn't she? We're swooning Lori Wagner right now. Swooning Lori Wagner. Jurassic Joey, do you like creepypasta? And if so, do you have a fave? I go to bed listening to creepypasta stories every night, and we're going to start some true tales of spaced out radio creepypasta stories with you, the audience, coming up very soon. I'm going to be working on it hopefully tomorrow. So, because I finally got a day off. So it's going to be an interesting add to our YouTube channel, so stay tuned for that. The only ones that really got me scared were the Skinwalker ones. Hey, Blackbird, good to have you here. And no, there is no Lowe's Home Improvement up by me. I believe the closest one is in Kamloops. Once again, big thank you to the 118 people tuning into us so far. And don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you're new. Remember that we are a live radio show, which is why we take commercial breaks. And we are not a podcast. Hey, Kurt Seltzer, how are you? And so that's why we're on break. Do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. And if you can, give us a thumbs up. Super Chat is open, and you can do a little shopping for Spaced Out Radio t-shirts at facebook.com/the SOR Vault. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for tuning us in. My name is Dave Scott. The Nightly Woo is brought to you by me. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with author Craig Campobasso. CraigCampobasso.com is his website where you can find all of his books, as well as on Amazon, places like that. Craig, welcome back.
Thank you. Actually, CraigCampobasso.com is just my casting website. Wow. So but that's okay. I have so many websites, Dave. But I was going to say, if people want to watch the Stranger at the Pentagon short film, if they have Amazon Prime, it's on Amazon Prime, or you can watch it on the website strangeratthepentagon.com. And then my book website is Autobiography of an ANET.com, and that's where the Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial books are. And if you click on the link that says other books, that's where you can buy the Extraterrestrial Species Almanac. And
nice.
I sign them and personalize them for everybody. So.
That's right. And
hey, by the way, Dave,
yes.
is that an Adamant song? It was so low. Is that what that was? Was that
my music? No, that is from my music guy, who is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. He is the former lead guitarist of Guns N' Roses and current lead guitarist of Sons of Apollo.
Wow, awesome.
Yes, we like to rock here. We enjoy a good rock and or roll every now and again here on the show, and we thank Mr. B for his incredible music. Craig, I want to ask you, you wrote this brand new book about extraterrestrial species called the Extraterrestrial Species Almanac, the ultimate guide to greys, reptilians, hybrids, and Nordics. But this book starts off really, really weird with a personal experience of yours, because you never knew who your father was until recently.
Yes, that's right. Actually, when I started writing the book, my mom told me when I was 12 that my dad was my stepdad and that they got married when I was 1 year old. My mother had a brief encounter with a man, got pregnant with me, and she found out that he was married with a kid, so she sort of ended it. And all I knew was a name. And so when the internet came about, I tried to search him out, and I couldn't find him. And around the time I started writing the ET Species Almanac in 2019, my fourth or fifth cousin, who I didn't know, but she introduced herself. She told me she was a genealogist. She lives up there in Canada. Her name's Andrea. And she wanted some information on my mom's father's side, which I gave her. And then I asked her if she could find him for me. And she goes, "Oh, yeah, I can find anybody." About 6 months later, she emailed me and said, I found him, although he did pass in 2006, and this is where he's buried. And I said, well, I'm going to go down to the cemetery tomorrow. I did, went to the front desk, asked if they had a name of a person when after he passed, and they said, actually, we do. And they gave me the name. It was a different last name than my biological father's. And so I came home, I looked him up online, and it was a 74-year-old man living around the corner from me, literally. So I wrote him a letter because his address was online, and I stuck a picture in and said, if you know anybody in his family, please pass this along. And I got a call a couple days later from his son who said, my dad got your letter. And I said, oh, was your dad friends with him? And he said, no, actually, it's his half brother. And I went, oh, wow, so you're my cousin? And he goes, yeah. And he said, it's really strange, but you look just like Fred. And the resemblance is uncanny. And so anyway, so I went to dinner with my new uncle and my new cousin, and it was a incredible dinner where they filled me in as much of his life as they could for 3 hours. An hour into the conversation, my uncle says, well, my Fred wanted to go into the Air Guard before he was 18, so my mom had to sign a piece of paper. So he went into the Air Guard. When he turned 18, he went directly into the Air Force. And then he said as an afterthought, oh, yeah, and by the way, he worked in Project Blue Book. Now, that just
There's a bomb
blew
dropping
me
right
away.
there. That's a bomb drop.
Total big bomb. Big bomb. And I was like, do you even know what that is? And he goes, well, kind of, but not really. And I said, did you ever watch the TV show? And he said, no. But he did watch Luis Elizondo's show. He loved that show. He talked to me about that show a lot. So long story short, my cousin said, yeah, me and my brother tried to get out of him throughout all these, all the years that he was alive to learn more about it, but he would never talk. And I said, well, he was really evidently good at keeping secrets because he kept me as a secret. You guys didn't even know about me, right? So long story short, I decided to dedicate the book to him because here I am writing a book for MUFON, and it's I'm just trying to find. Oh, here it is. So, because MUFON is a U.S.-based nonprofit comprised of civilian volunteers who study reported UFO sightings, and Project Blue Book is the Air Force study on UFOs that started in 1952 and was decommissioned in January of 1970. And they investigated 11,000 sightings. And its main study was to determine if UFOs were a threat to national security and to scientifically analyze UFO-related data. So here's this thing. I've been in the film business since I was 15, right? And when Fred came back after he left the Air Force, he got into the Union IATSE, got a job at Warner Brothers, and became their head of construction, building sets for their movies and television projects for a very long span of time. And you will dig this, Dave, because when he left there, after many, many years, he started his own scenic shop, and he designed and built sets for Alice Cooper, Elton John, Michael Jackson, Neil Diamond.
Very
he even
cool.
built the sets for the Bing Crosby special with David Bowie. So there's just little fun tidbits about that I learned. So I have to say it was very fulfilling to they gave me as many pictures as they had of him throughout his life, and gave me his baby book. And
Now, were you his
uh,
only child?
no, he had a daughter before, who's like 4 years older than me, that the family didn't know what happened to her. Evidently, I guess that marriage went wrong. This was before my mom. And so what I don't know was he broken up with her, that wife at that time? And did my mom find out about her and the kid? And if he was to say that they were broken up, I don't know if she would have believed him. So that's what I'm sketching on. My mom passed in '98, and my dad, my dad who raised me, passed away about 5 years ago. So, and then Fred, it was interesting. My mom passed away at 61. Fred, my bio dad, passed away at 71, and then my dad passed away at 81.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I guess you're going for 91 then.
Yeah, or 101.
Or 101. One of the two. Whatever works.
That's right.
Whatever works. All right, let's kind of get into your book here that you've just finished, because for a lot of people out there in the UFO community, when it comes to ET species, this is where we get a little bit, or some people get a little bit hasty. Show me the proof, Craig. Show me the proof. The Extraterrestrial Species Almanac, the ultimate guide to Greys, Reptilians, Hybrids, and Nordics. Why did you decide to do a book like this?
Well, I actually didn't come up with the concept. My literary book agent did, and he called me up and he said, "I've got a great idea for a book, and I already have the title for it. It's called the Extraterrestrial Species Almanac." And I went, "Oh wow, that's cool." I said, "I could actually write that book." And he said, "Drop a proposal, and I know that I can sell it." He literally sold it within 4 days, and I was writing the book the week after. And I sort of had to sit back and say to myself, book deals just don't happen that fast. They never, they take forever to happen. And so I thought, well, maybe this is the universe's way of wanting something like this out. Maybe there's going to be some kind of disclosure, or maybe more sightings, or things being more released into the world. So I decided to go to a lot of the cases that I already knew about. I don't know if you know this, but Colonel Wendell Stevens did over 60 books of contactee cases in his lifetime. And so I went and sort of went through his library and obtained permission from his daughter, who owns everything now. And all of these books, they're all out of print. But if people are interested in them, they're at ufophotoarchives.com, and you can get them in a PDF format there, or you can buy all of them for a small fee. Because this is all the old stuff that people don't even know about or remember, unless you're a longtime UFO buff. So there are some of the races that I just found very interesting, where they're actually called Aryans, and they're an Asian race, and there are several Asian races. And one of the other races is called the GNE, and they travel around in their motherships and things like that, and go around. A lot of the races do exploration, just like you would imagine races are interested about other worlds, other beings, other things, how things work. Another race that I found very interesting, these are from Wendell Stevens' collection, by the way, were the Itapurians. and they were from a planet called Itaby Ra, and they actually didn't eat solid foods. They drank a lot of different fruits and vegetable juices, so they were always on the lookout for new tastes and things because it had to satisfy their palates. So they came and they set up bases in the 50s and 60s in the Amazon, and interacted with the local natives there, and they started hybridizing the cherimoya fruits and different fruits and things with their fruits and that type of thing, so that they can bring those back to their planet. But what was interesting is at a certain point, their planet, their whole ecosystem was dying out. And they knew that they had to change their ways, and they knew that they had to find a new home to live. So they went and they found 3 planets. And so they slowly started transferring over the people, animals, all their life forms over into the planet. And then what they did is they moved all the machinery that does a lot of their work onto a separate planet, because they said that they found that machinery caused cancer. And then they used the 3rd planet as a heart planet, which they set up there, that only kept reverberating love into into their new planets, right? So I thought that was very interesting. There's the Clermer race, and that was UFO contact from planet Clermer, and the other one was planet Coldas, and that was an interesting read, because their commanders literally had to come down here on Earth, and they're human, very human looking, and can interact with us, and we wouldn't know it. And I believe this one was somewhere maybe in Europe. And so he had to live down here for a certain period of time and learn the culture and learn how to interact with Earth people, because he was going to be assigned to this sector. And so that was a very fascinating story. Then there's the Umites, which is UFO contact from planet Umo. And the Umo came, I believe, maybe 50s, 60s in there, maybe 70s as well. I think they've come back and forth. But they came and they started, they were very concerned for the ecosystem of the planet and for lots of other destructive things that were happening. So they took it upon themselves, and they would write letters to the top scientists around the world. Now, there is actually a photograph online. So if you type in Umo or Umites, it's of a 8-foot man who's wearing shorts and a Hawaiian shirt. And it is said that he was one of the Umo that actually came. And the Umo, a lot of their ships, you can see, have been, there were, let's see, they have a symbol on the bottom, which is a drawing on the underbelly, which is their symbol for the United Universal Alliance of Planets. So it's a line on the bottom that represents their physical worlds. The second horizontal line stands for the invisible or the etheric worlds, and the third line on top stands for the worlds of the soul. So these craft were caught, and you can find those online as well. The photographs of these saucers that were white that had the symbol on the bottom. And then another one of my couple of my favorite ones were the Reptilians. from Rigel, the constellation of Rigel. Now, these were sort of lizard-looking human beings. And I had an artist do a wonderful rendition of this being. And they actually, I don't want to say the word abduct, but they brought a 14-year-old Cherokee girl from the reservation onto their craft, and they hooked her up to a telepathic device where they could talk with her, because she said when they spoke, it was sort of in chirps and whistles and that kind of thing. But once she was hooked up to the machine and he was hooked up to the machine, they could have a full-blown conversation. And so he was explaining about their race, who they were, gave her a tour of the ship. He wore this stone around his neck that he would just take, and he would touch a wall that was solid, and then an opening would open up and it would go into a new section of the ship. So this thing was sort of this key that got you into these different sections of the craft. So what was miraculous about this case is because she was hooked up to that machine, when she was put back, she remembered the whole incident in full living Technicolor, right? So,
wow.
And then the other are the Yargans. They were an aquatic race, and most of their planet is water. The only lands that are on their planets would equate to the size of Australia. So they build these conical high-rise buildings with sort of parks in between, and then they all live in these buildings there. And they look more like what we would say is they look a cross between a human and a seal, and they kind of have that same sort of skin that a seal would have. The men have very fine little bit of hair, and the women have longer streaks of hair as well. And then another one of my favorite cases, besides Maurizio Cavallo that we talked about earlier in the Clarions, where people can see the actual photographs of Clarions that Maurizio said that he took, is there's another man down in South America named Ricardo Gonzalez, and he is in contact with Alpha Centaurians. And these are very tall Nordic-looking beings. And so when they interact with him, at one point, I believe his name is Antaral. And yes. Antaral wanted to invite some people to meet him. So he had a large gathering in Mount Shasta, and then there was a select group that were taken into the forest, and then they open up the Zendra.
You're hitting a soft spot right there, because I know that story from Paula Harris and Grant Cameron.
She was there.
And I gotta tell you, as we only got about 30 seconds before we go to break here, I want to go into one of those Zendras, man. That
I know, me too.
Before I retire from this woo, I want to go into one of those Zendras. Could you imagine walking through that fog, Craig, and having an alien come up behind you and put its hand on your shoulder or reach for your hand? Could you imagine? Yes. My gosh. That's just
amazing.
Nuts.
It would be amazing. Yeah.
Craig, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Craig Campobasso, great author, filmmaker, and everything about ET species tonight. We're going to hit him up about some aliens in hour number 2. Why? Because that's what we do here on Spaced Out Radio, people. We get to the woo of all woos. And tonight, It's Alien Species, with author Craig Campobasso, his new book, which can be found on Amazon, The Extraterrestrial Species Almanac, The Ultimate Guide to Greys, Reptilians, Hybrids, and Nordics. We'll find out more next on the Mighty SOR in Hour 2. All right, Craig, I'm just going to run my dogs out. I'll be right back, okay?
All right.
Website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thor. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is Watching.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
All right, Craig, I'm back. It's always
Okay.
nice. You go outside and all of a sudden there's a blizzard happening. My gosh.
Get refreshed.
Oh, yeah. Like I want another 6-7 inches of snow. Just got it all melted. Well, not all the way, but at least some of it where I could shovel my patio off.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Let's see here. Just catching up. Hey, Max Ritchie, welcome back. Let's see what else. Anybody else we got here? Yeah, that Zendra thing, man. I totally want to go into that. Totally.
I know. It is so cool.
But
so cool.
But apparently, from what I've heard, and I don't know how true this is, but this is a real strong belief in the Mexican culture about the Zendras. It's almost like a real spiritual Zen type of meditation that brings it on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so like
because
so like you could have like 50 people sitting around meditating, and the Zendra will telepathically call you in to the Zendra. So even though you're one of the 50 there, they may only take 2 or 3 people.
Yes.
Oh,
that's right. I believe that too.
Ooh, it just gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
We got about a minute here. Give me 2 seconds. Opa de Greco. Hello, rooted in lovely sacredness. How are you? Super Quest, good to see you, and I hope you have your cape on tonight, my friend. And did I miss anybody? I don't think so. And we've got about less than 1 minute here to go. Want to say thank you to everybody who's tuning on in, hitting that like button and hitting subscribe if you're new. The super chat is open as well. And if you want a great shirt, just go to facebook.com/the SOR Vault, and we will be able to hook you up with a great Spaced Out Radio t-shirt there. And we're about 15 seconds away here from getting things going, and so just sit back, relax, because the woo is coming. Yes, it is. Yes, with our great friend here, Craig Campobasso. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio. And on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. Thank you so much for tuning in. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. If you want to check out our archives, we got them free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Tachyphrasia. Tachyphrasia is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter @SpacedOutRadio and on Instagram @Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on talking aliens all night long. Author and researcher, filmmaker Craig Campobasso is our guest. You can find his latest book online at the Amazon, Barnes & Noble, places like that. The Extraterrestrial Species Almanac, The Ultimate Guide to Greys, Reptilians, Hybrids, and Nordics. Craig, welcome back, my friend.
Thank you.
Oh, for sure. You having fun? Still enjoying yourself?
I am having fun.
Good.
I always have fun being on your show.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, bud. Hey, Craig, when you're going through these lists, you know, a lot of people will ask you point blank, how did you come up with this? Explain to our audience how all of these species in the books came to you.
Well, I went through a long list of everything that I had learned in the UFO community for over 35 years, especially going to a lot of the original contactee cases about specific races, things like that. I think the most enigmatic race are the mantis beings. Now, there are lots of people who see them, and I've talked to people who have encountered them in the astral or being taken on board a craft, but nobody really knows that much about them. And even a friend of mine, have you ever had Tom Dongo on your show?
Yeah, he was on a couple of months ago.
Yeah, so I'm friends with Tom, and I remember seeing Tom write once. Does anybody know anything about the mantis beings? Because nobody seems to really get a connection there. So I actually found someone who was a mantis hybrid. And so I was able to sort of talk to her about a lot of the characteristics and things about what mantis beings are, because a lot of times they're seen in the background of abduction cases, or if someone's brought on board a craft and it might not be an abduction case, but maybe checking on those beings, because they were part of their heritage that incarnated here. And so but anyway, but they're usually sort of lurking in the background and sort of protecting or observing or that kind of thing. And even though this hybrid told me that even though they seem emotionless, when you make the telepathic connection with them, that you then understand and you feel their emotions, because their emotions are internal, right? And it kind of goes, when you think about telepathy in the fully conscious worlds, telepathy is more than just talking mind to mind. It's actually engrossing the entire experience. So if I'm sharing, let's say I had an experience in the Zendra, Dave, right? And then I'm telling you about it, and I got to go in the Zendra and experience it. I would also transfer my feeling body to your feeling body, and you would experience it as if I experienced it at the same time. That's all part of advanced telepathy, right? So if I grew from the experience, you would also grow from the experience, because you just had the experience, even though it wasn't in the first person, it was in the second person. So it's just very, very fascinating, and to learn. A lot of the kids that are coming in now, I've met several of them. One boy, when I first met him, was, I think, 15. The kid was already speaking 5-star languages and drawing star maps and building things that were, and he would explain to me what they were, and they were all things to help planet Earth and the people that were on it. There's other kids that are building crystal grids, and they can tell you everything about what it is. I got my first fan letter last week from a kid who I think is about 7 years old, who said, "Craig Campobasso, I think your extraterrestrial species almanac is great." And then went on to say to me that he said, "You're a film producer. You can make a documentary. I know you can." So anyway, I am making a documentary with Lori Wagner, as we were talking about earlier, and which is going to be quite spectacular, because we figured out a way that we can make the artwork become animated and come alive as well as interspersing other CGI images, so people can get a better idea of movement and sounds and things like that. So, and there are several people that speak different languages, so we'll also have that in there, which is fascinating unto itself. So there's just a plethora of stuff. I just say, look, we're sharing it, and if it works for you, that's great, and if it doesn't, then just set it aside. I believe in the one saying is, for those who believe no explanation is necessary. For those who not, no explanation will suffice.
Okay, so for the species that came out to you, and you were searching all over ufology for all of these different species, a lot of them are very human looking that I've noticed so far. Are there that many humanoids out there? Or the way I look at it is, is that the way we are or these people are picturing these beings because they could be camouflage, it could be a facade, it could be some sort of matrix that makes our minds believe that these are actual humanoids, so that way we're not scared about what they really look like? How did you break that down with so many humanoids?
Well, basically the universe, from what I understand, is populated with lots and lots of humans. Now, you have to think about a fully conscious race is not going to try and hoodwink anybody, no matter if you're a dualistic race or what have you. I think we sort of get into areas where reptilians, for instance, a woman will be having a dream that she's having sex with a very beautiful, handsome man. And at the point of climax, the veil is removed and she sees that it's a reptilian. And then she becomes pregnant, even though she has not had sex. Lori Wagner did an amazing documentary called The Seeding, which is all about this specific thing, which is on Amazon right now as well, and I think it's on iTunes. It's called Extraordinary, The Seeding. And and some women believe that they came here to do that, and some are terrified of it, and then that fetus is taken somewhere between 2 and 3 months. And from what I understand from a lot of hypnotherapists and things who have extensively dived into this realm, is that they need it to be inside the mother for the soul to attach.
Oh, okay.
Right? And then that mother is brought on board a craft when that child is an infant, and they find that mother has to hold that baby for a bonding, because they find that the babies pass on because they're not getting that nurturing from the original mother. So there's many experiences of women who have had that kind of experience. I mean, I first learned of it in the early 90s when a manager who manages actors called me and says, "Look, Craig, I know you're into this. I have a client." And she became pregnant without having sex. And over 2 months later, she woke up and she had all this discharge all over her sheets and her nightgown, and the baby was missing. So anyway, I met with her and talked with her about it, and so it depends. A lot of people have different things, and if they might be afraid in the beginning, I think here's the thing that you have to look at is all of us down here have bred with all of the races down here, so we are hybrids of all cultures here. I am like the biggest Heinz 57 of Europe that I can imagine, because I have done my DNA, and I am almost everything in Europe, including Sweden and Norway and I think like 1% Portuguese as well. So up there, races do the same thing. So there are all these different hybridizations, even in the human races. So what we find is there is such an array of skin colors up there, every color in the rainbow and more. And when different colored people start mating, they start producing different colors. It was interesting. Tom Dongo and I did a show last week, and I never shared this one thing that Dr. Frank told me. He told me that once when he was on the Starship, he said, you wouldn't believe all the different colors of beings that were up there. He said, there was even people who had zebra skin. And I said, really? And he goes, yeah, it was really amazing to look at. And he said, and I also saw people who had a rainbow wash type of skin. And Tom actually said during this thing, Linda Moulton Howe was telling me, and I'm not sure if she saw them or if somebody that she met saw them, about a race of beings that had zebra skin. And so there was that little tidbit of confirmation there as well. So it just goes on and on and on. But when it comes down to hybrids and abductions and negative abductions and positive ones, is that if they are not asking the soul for permission, then that is a negative thing, because they're basically raping that person of their genetic materials, right? So, but if they have asked, then they can do that. And here's the thing, they can go directly to the soul, and here we may not even consciously know that, and never know that those materials were taken because of them just putting that veil on it. So, but there's so many people that have experienced that. I mean, some people I've met say they have over 40 hybrid children. An interesting thing is, I'm sure a lot of people have heard of the channel Bashar,
Yes.
right? And Daryl's a good friend of mine, him and his wife Erica, and I cast the movie for them, Bashar First Contact, and we just did another movie called Alienated last year, which isn't out yet. So of course I put the Sasani beings in here with Daryl's permission. So their hybridization program is their small grays are now, so they have a 7-tier hybridization program. So hybrid 1, the small grays are known as the Mazay, and then hybrid 2, the taller grays are known as the Mazani, and then the Sasani beings, which is what Bashar is, and Bashar is 300 years in the future in a parallel place, and those are called the Sasani. And then the 4th hybrids are the Shayael beings that are slightly more human looking. And then the hybrid 5 are the Yayael beings, which are very human-like. And then Earth humans becoming the 6th hybrid race, which are the hybrid children who will eventually live back on Earth with humans. And then the 7th race is called the Anuhet, which is a blending of all 6 hybrid races in about 1,000 years. I mean, I will tell you, out of all of the huge movies I've worked on, right? I've worked on Dune, I've worked on Conan, I worked on Total Recall, I worked on Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow, lots of movies and things like that. When people see me, they come up and say, oh my God, you cast Bashar? Because people are so into Bashar. And I just think that's great. But one of the other really cool hybrid races are called the Solzars. And they're very, very advanced. And what they've done is they've taken the best DNA chains from 32 of the top species in the universe, and they've merged it, and that's what they are. So they are complete brainiacs. They are really, really smart, and they're really unique looking as well. And then at a certain point in the future, they will upgrade to 44 DNA chains as well. So,
Okay.
and a lot of these beings are multidimensional.
I want to ask you about these humanoids that you were describing. Do they have a lot of similarities, or they have a lot of similarities to look like humans here on the planet, to almost blend in? But do they have any differences that we could tell them apart? Maybe no belly buttons, maybe elf-like ears, maybe a tail hidden in pants. I don't know.
Well, it's very interesting because some beings, their fingers or their hands might be just a little different or misshapen, or their eyes will be spread farther apart. And it's interesting because every once in a while you do come upon somebody who has Spock ears, right? Literally. Their ears are pointed. I even met a guy once whose ears were pointed like that, and then he had an inch of hair that grew on the top that went up into this really amazing sort of flip. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting. So, I mean, is this all part of the extraterrestrial DNA that is, been on the planet for a very long time? Because the Clermers say that they were here at one point. Of course, the Pleiadians were here. So lots of DNA is mixed in with ours. I mean, we're all a part of those old DNA chains as well. And I think at a certain point in the future, when they're able to sort of siphon that out, they'll be able to say, oh, you're a part of your DNA came from this star system or this star system, just like they can say, you're 5% from Spain or here, and here. So it just becomes more and more fascinating as we go along.
Greg Campobasso is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We have about just over 2 minutes before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. You know, one of the things when it comes to these humanoids is how easy they are to blend in. In any of your studies, has anybody told you how many of these aliens are walking among us?
I don't know the exact number, but I know that there is quite a large number of them. Even Maurizio Cavallo with the Clarions say there are many Clarions living on the planet because they're fully conscious beings, and it's their part and their efforts to be here because their energy being here helps to raise the consciousness on the planet as well. And Pleiadians, Syrians, lots of the humanoid races, they can be here. A lot of them are integrated. A lot of them work in different jobs, that kind of thing. I've been told that a lot of hybrids work in a lot of high positions because they have an extra smart gene in them. A very advanced, evolved gene, just being a hybrid.
Wow.
But they still look human, of course. So,
but can they roam around in our conditions? Can they breathe the same oxygen that we breathe?
Yes. Some of them definitely can, and then the ones that can't. But some hybrids. Some that come here to study us will do a hybridization program to become us so that they can breathe the air through generation after generation and study us by being us as well.
Right. I think your computer made a noise there. That's okay, though.
Did it?
Yeah. Hopefully it's not asking you to reboot, because that would really suck right now. But,
No.
Craig, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, my friend, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Craig Campobasso is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. He's got a great book out, The Extraterrestrial Species Almanac, the ultimate guide to greys, reptilians, hybrids, and Nordics. Yes, aliens among us, people. Aliens among us. You've got aliens, Craig's got aliens, I've got aliens. We all got aliens. More alien talk on Spaced Out Radio right after this. All right, brother, we're clear.
All right. So the computer made a noise, huh? It was my cell phone then.
Oh, must have been. It sounded like
Yeah.
a computer. Oh, well. I'm good with
Could
it.
have been a little.
Whatever.
Could have been a little interaction from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Could have been.
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time you've had aliens?
Oh, long time ago. No.
I had an experience a couple weeks ago.
Oh, you did?
Yep. And it's funny because one of my good friends, Bob McGuire, who's former CIA, former head of science and math at Virginia Tech University, he was there with me, and he recorded some weird shit on his Fitbit. That's for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was pretty intense. Yeah.
Wow.
I woke up the next morning and it felt like I did not sleep a wink.
Oh my God.
Excuse me. Yeah. It was.
Wow.
It was cool. DJ Nibiru, welcome to our chat room. Neil Jones, welcome to the chat room. Ron, good to see you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So that's the most recent one.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, Lori, let's see. She said, no, I didn't hear, but I'll listen to the She's going to listen to it in the archives, she said.
All right.
So
I'm going to message.
That's cool.
I'm going to message her right now. Why aren't you listening?
Oh, hey, I love our picture. She sent me our picture.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad I got it.
I was going to send it to you. She stole my thunder there. She stole my.
See, she did. She did.
She is that lady. She is that lady. Actually, that turned out pretty good.
It did turn out good. I really like it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. If you look right below, you'll see a picture of my boy there. That's the only reason why I haven't showed it to my YouTube audience, because I kind of keep my family kind of private.
Private, yeah.
That's my little boy there, right below the screen.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh, him and I had a big wrestling match right before the show. He beat the tar out of me. Okay, hold on one second here, because I got to do my shameless plug. One of our good sponsors of this show is Mighty Moose Beard Oil. You like my beard? Well, that's because I use Mighty Moose Beard Oil from MightyMooseBeard.com. Gary the Dutchman there, you'll never get a deal from a Dutchman, but Gary is giving you a deal. Use promo code SOR2019. Let me show you how it works. You just squeeze it up a little bit, because it is in one of those squeeze bottles. All right, you drop it into your hand like so. You put the lid back on, because you don't want to spill this stuff. It is oil, all right? And it's all natural. There's no chemicals. You just rub it into your hands, and then you rub it into your beard. That's it. That's as hard as the process is right there. MightyMooseBeard.com. The beard oil is good for men, And women, by the way, and women, because, sometimes we get dry hair. This stuff literally will help oil back your hair in a good process, helps with split ends. I don't get split ends. I got nice hair. You can have nice hair too by using Mighty Moose Beard Oil. Go to MightyMooseBeard.com. Use promo code SOR2019 and tell Gary the Dutchman to give you a deal. And remember, all money is in Canadian money. So if you're in the U.S., you're saving a ton of money by buying his product. So make sure you help out the guy who's helped sponsoring us here on the show. And, there's my promo. Big thank you to everyone who has given us a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways. Hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Hey, Corrance. Yeah, Corey Bigfoot. There he is. Mr. Hallmark himself. Craig, do you like the Hallmark channel? Because Corey here loves the Hallmark channel.
Yeah, they have a whole mess of Christmas movies. I actually did a Christmas movie that should have been a Hallmark movie.
Oh, my goodness. Hold on, buddy.
Right before COVID.
Hold on, buddy. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Dave Scott is my name, and I'm the guy behind the microphone. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Author, researcher, filmmaker Craig Campobasso is our guest tonight. He's got a brand new book out talking about all these different alien species that have allegedly visited Earth. The Extraterrestrial Species Almanac, the ultimate guide to greys, reptilians, hybrids, and Nordics. And right before the break, we were talking with Craig about all of these humanoid-type species. But let's switch over to the greys. We got short greys, fat greys, tall greys, thin greys, big-eyed greys, small-eyed greys, big four-headed greys, small four-headed greys, small-headed greys, big-headed greys, three-fingered greys, four-fingered greys. Tell me what the hell is going on here, my friend.
Well, man, there are so many grays. That's all I gotta say. But just like humans, there's a gigantic culture of every different size of gray, shape, form. It's interesting because their large eyes, some races, they like the Vargina case, they were these little creatures, but they had fluorescent red eyes that were the big bug eyes like that. There are other races that have big fluorescent green eyes as well. So I can only imagine how many races have different colored eyes like that. But what's interesting about a lot of the different races and those eyes is that some races have a double nictating lens, like one is for swiping and one is they can sort of lower down as a pair of sunglasses that helps protect their light sensitive eyes, because beneath there they have giant human eyeballs, right? Like iris and pupils as well. Some races actually have it permanently sewn in, and the material is breathable so that their eyes can breathe as well. There's some that have gecko eyes, similar. The gecko kind of reptilian eyes were in the Betty and Barney Hill case. Was the Examiner, and then the other beings in that were the smaller grays, the Examiner, They were, I think, about 5 feet. And I've got them also in the book, and I think I used the bust for the picture that Betty Hill actually had done up of them in there, because they had very, very unusual eyes. And and again, there are positive experiences that people have, contacts with grays. Some don't. Some grays that they call EBs, or extraterrestrial biological entities, that look like that, are basically created organic creatures that are programmed and can fly craft and go do the work that the beings that created them don't want to go and be harmed or whatever when they're going to another world, or things of that nature. And they're chlorophyll based, is what a lot have found out when they've dissected a few of those bodies, I've heard. So there is a plethora of different grays. And again, I think the one thing for everyone to remember with every race is what I've heard over and over again, is to judge the individual, not the race.
By the way, you've had some high quality usage of the word plethora tonight. Just wanted to.
I have.
That is my favorite word. That is my favorite word.
It's mine too.
Yes, so you're more than welcome to keep using it. More than welcome.
Good.
But the thing with these gray aliens, okay, I've seen them, and I've seen short ones, small ones, tall ones, thin ones, big-headed ones like Carl, and I've seen about 4 different kinds, 4 or 5, one of the two. All right. Some of them in dreams, some with my own eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to tell you, okay, the reputation that the Greys have isn't too good out there. They seem to lack compassion. They seem to lack any sort of emotion. They don't care whether they're hurting you. They don't care if they're breaking you. They don't care if they're probing you in certain ways that could feel uncomfortable to some. All right?
Yes.
Yet they are the most seen of all aliens that we know of. So do we know the story on these gray aliens?
Well, there are many stories on the gray aliens, but the most common one is that they are a dying race. They lost their humanity a very, very long time ago. They went more into the scientific realm, and so they were not spiritually elevating. So they lost their divine matrix, which is needed for ascension, which is why the Earth is considered royalty in a sense, because all of the beings here, all of us, have this matrix for ascension. And so what they're doing is raping people of their genetic material so that they can kind of get back to where they were. And eventually they'll probably grow into a more humane species, but the way they're going about it is not in the best interest of a lot of people that have had these horrific experiences with them. And then some have had the horrific experiences and then realized much later on that it was more of a more beautiful experience. Travis Walton's case, for instance. where he was taken up, but then he realized much later on that they brought him on board to heal him because he was so close to the craft and probably got a bunch of radiation.
Okay, but for a lot of people too, who have had these occurrences with alien grays, they claim that they're almost like scientists, almost robotic. Are they AI or are they a living creature?
Well, the EBs are more AI, and so it depends on what who's doing the abducting. So, and I really don't know because each case is different.
Okay, so being the fact, do you believe in the idea, just in your own research, that maybe some of these are hired by other alien species to do the dirty work?
Yes, I do believe that. I've heard that scenario many times, and it does definitely resonate with me. And because why wouldn't you if you could create something to go do the dirty work so that you're not there being caught doing it, and also that it's and it removes the danger for those beings that that want those materials.
Right? Oh man. See, I think that's the freaky part. Like, have you ever seen grays?
I've seen them in dreams early on, but they were more um, uh, benevolent in the sense because they actually had light around them, and it was more of a tour of a museum that they were putting together of Earth people and things like that. And then there were crystal cities, and there were all of these beautiful things. And I can kind of equate it a little bit to Betty Andreessen's experiences way back in the beginning as well. So. But I have not, I myself had not had that experience, but I have had people in the film industry, because they know I'm like this, tell me that they have woken up and that a gray is literally standing over them, looking into their eyes. And it just, like, they just totally wigged out.
It's not cool, man. It's not cool.
No.
It's a little
No.
weird. I recall one instance in my house. Oh, this would have happened last year, early last year to mid last year, where I woke up. Of course, it's around 3 a.m. I woke up and literally, dude, it was like I immediately knew I didn't want to pick up my head because I had this ghastly feeling that if I turned my head around, there was going to be an alien gray standing there. And I think I closed my eyes, and the next feeling I had was that it went down the hallway. And I'm like, do I go get it? Do I go chase it? But everything kept me in that bed from not going to investigate. And I was scared crapless, man. Figuratively speaking, of course. I didn't, make a mess in my bed or anything like that. But it was a weird feeling because I knew it was there. I knew that
Yes.
it was like almost sending me a fearful message to not come out and look at it. And
Right.
I paid attention. Now, I've had that happen twice. The first time was in my old house before I had even started the radio show. And my dog used to sleep in the laundry room right across from my master bedroom. And I just had that exact same feeling. And here I was standing, looking down the hallway towards my kitchen. And what really gave me chills on that it might not have been a dream, was my dog must have sensed that I was at the doorway, or heard me, obviously. And he walked to the doorway, stuck his head out the doorway, and without me saying anything to him, as I was watching him, he started turning his head towards going down, looking towards the kitchen like something was there as well. That was trippy.
Wow. Yeah, that is trippy. I had an experience once in Sedona. I went with a friend of mine in the 90s, and I said, let's go UFO hunting, and we'll get up in the middle of the night and we'll drive into the back of Boynton Canyon and go to where Secret Canyon is. And this is before they had built that giant golf course and all the homes and things there on the left-hand side, because now you can't get back there. And the roads there at night are it's so pitch black. It's only the lights from your car. So as we're driving, getting close to Secret Canyon, I drove through a blue beam that was going across the road. And I slammed on the brakes, and I looked at my friend and I said, "Did you hear that?" And we both heard at the same time, "If you don't turn around and go back now, your lives will be forever altered."
Wow.
And I said, that's good enough for me. Let's go back to the hotel. So we turned around and went back to the hotel. Now, I will say, when I took another set of friends, which was during the Harmonic Convergence 2, I took 3 friends, and we were driving back into Boynton Canyon one night just to go for a drive. Those old military cars, those tan cars, the little 4-door cars. I don't even know what make and model they are, but there were 2 officers, 2 military guys sitting in the front, and in the back, I looked and I saw 2 men, and I literally spouted out of my mouth, "Oh my God, those are clones." And because it was the most eeriest feeling to see a human being without a soul.
No way.
And and they were coming out of Boynton Canyon, of course. So, Tom Dongo knows about all those, secret bases and all of that kind of stuff. And I don't know if he ever played you, but when I was there the last time, he was out in the middle of a desert there where they go and they do sky watching and things like that. And all of a sudden, there was all of this noise of these creatures literally having a fight. And it's all caught. They caught it all on tape. And you hear like the sound of a craft, and you hear these creatures fighting, and it was pretty terrifying. And I said to him, I said, well, maybe it was, maybe that ship was literally right near you and it was masked. So, there's just so much. And especially if people, your listeners here, have been to Sedona, we know that the veil in Sedona is very thin. Lots of people see lots of things there. And things have been caught on camera. I got a small scout ship between Bell Rock and Courthouse Butte. Amazing. Just a metallic ball with a design on the outside that was flitting about. So there's lots. So much that we don't know.
No kidding. Let's talk about Reptilians, as we got about 5 minutes to go before we go to break at the top of the hour. Now, Reptilians are one of these creatures that the majority of experiences people have with them has not been too pleasant, although there is said to be, very nice reptilians out there. I don't know how, what, when, why. It's one of the alien species I have not had interaction with, and I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of happy about that. But for you, what did you learn about reptilians?
Well, reptilians, I had a friend who was taken on board a craft and was given a sort of history lesson on the Orion Wars and about reptilians and things of that nature. And evidently it goes way back to the Lyra constellation, where the giant Nordics originated from, and they say that's where all humanity sort of originated from in the universe. And the reptilians sort of went there, and they wanted their resources, and they wanted a lot of stuff, and so they ended up warring with them and destroyed some of their planets. And before that happened, a lot of these Lyrans then went out into Vega and the Pleiades, and then over the years just kept going on and seeding the planets. So now, I mean, getting into reptilians could take like a 2-hour conversation because of all of the stuff. But in a thumbnail review, they are pretty much territorial creatures. They like to rule planets in secret. It is said that they rule this planet in secret, in cahoots with the powers that be, meaning the men with the money who really run the world from behind the curtain. So, so there's lots of people who have had these interactions with them. And then I have heard of a lot of cases where there have been very benevolent reptilians as well. So I think it's kind of how I've sort of understood it is some of the reptilians that were in this aggressive thing wanted to sort of get away from that culture, and they went off and they started their own offshoots. And what they did is, because they were very good geneticists as well, is that they would breed in more genes that were more compassionate and things like that. So it started to weed a lot of that out over a course of time. So, yeah, there's a lot. The publisher sort of did this wonderful reptilian sort of snake woman on the cover, which surprised me because it wasn't part of the original artwork that I did. And so when they sent me the cover, I was like, oh, wow, that is like really shocking. And but everyone seems to like the cover because it's definitely attention grabbing. So,
well, very true. And the reptilians seem to have that look to them that is just, it's scary, it's eerie, it's not very comfortable.
And you wonder if they're looking at you as a meal.
Of course, they probably are.
Right? So, yeah, I mean, the food chain, when you think about it, it just gets weirder and weirder and weirder as you sort of delve into it and you start to learn. And I've met with a lot of people over the years in places, in the higher places, that came to me because of the Valiant Thor story, and they said it's amazing how when you're awake you see things that you never dreamed of when you were asleep, and that the rest of the world is sleeping. And because they're not really tuned into this type of information and that kind of thing, so they're all sort of in the matrix, in the program that is just keeping everyone on a hamster wheel. and keeping everyone dumbed down and that kind of thing. So,
well, Craig, we're going to get ready to take a break here at the top of the hour. And, you know, with Reptilians, I'd like to spend a little bit more time on that and whatever else kind of comes our way as we have author Craig Campobasso for another 30 minutes on Spaced Out Radio. He's got a brand new book out. You can find it on Amazon called The Extraterrestrial Species Almanac, the ultimate guide to greys, reptilians, hybrids, and Nordics. Oh, it's a good one. It's a very good one. We will be back with Craig, and we got the Newswire and the Thought of the Day at the bottom of the hour to take us home. Lots more. Spaced Out Radio in Hour 3 next. All right, I'm just going to run my dogs outside. Craig, I'll be right back, okay? I'll be right back, Craig.
Beard oil. Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckard, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/spacedoutradio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hey, Space Travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
All right, Craig, I'm back.
I'm back too.
All right. Hello, Rafaela. How are you? How's the Czech Republic? We've got New Zealand in here, the Czech Republic, Germany. Lots of different countries in the chat room tonight.
Ah, we love that.
Oh, yeah. It's awesome. Always amazes me, man. Always amazes me. Mm-hmm. You having fun still?
Oh, yeah. I'm just pulling up some interesting facts that we'll talk about here.
Of course.
That's why I sounded a little preoccupied.
Oh, that's okay. Fabster.
Yeah, I just wanted to pull it up because it was just fascinating.
Fabster, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Really do appreciate it, man. Thank you for your love and support of this show. You're amazing, dude. Absolutely amazing. Oh, New Zealand there with Ross. Yes. They're loving the woo in New Zealand. I don't know why I brought down orange juice today. Gives me heartburn.
Oh, it gives me heartburn too.
And I love orange juice. I love orange juice.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
I like it with pulp.
Oh, this one's got pulp in it. Oh, yeah. Gotta have the pulp. Gotta have the pulp.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good stuff. Good stuff. All right, we got about, let's see, just about 40 seconds left.
Okay.
Do. 10 seconds. And here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates and digitally on KPNL, Revolution Radio, and TalkStream Live. All of our archives are free for you by going to youtube.com/spacedoutradio. The only thing I ask for in return is hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Tachyphrasia. Tachyphrasia is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, Craig Campobasso is our guest. He's got a great new book out called The Extraterrestrial Species Almanac, the ultimate guide to greys, reptilians, hybrids, and Nordics. And we were talking about the reptilian aliens right before we went to break. Craig, welcome back.
Yeah, I think let's talk about another race of reptilians, which are serpent beings, which is what's on the cover. And it's interesting because in India, the snake represents rebirth, death, and morality, because the snake casts off its skin and is reborn. In ancient Slavic paganism, they feared the snake deity Veles, who ruled the underworld. And then the Toltec Mayan god Gukumats was revered as a serpent of wisdom. And they say that Quetzalcoatl was a snake-like deity of the Aztecs, the god of intelligence and wind. And the Hopi Indians always talk about the Shetty, their snake brothers. So there seems to be this interaction with serpent beings on Earth throughout the ages, with the serpent beings living underground in the subterranean worlds. So, and a unique thing about them is when their telepathic use is they use telepathic scent pictographs to communicate with each other, which is an advanced communicative skill that's derived from using their tongues to collect odors. So I thought that was very fascinating. There are all these different alternate things of various beings that have different variations of telepathic natures and things like that. Some include scent, some use pheromones, some use different things along with the transfer of thought. So it's just completely fascinating. I mean, I would so love to go to a universal library and spend like a year. Wouldn't that be cool?
It would be kind of cool. Let's face it. That would be really, really cool.
Yeah, me too.
How do we tell a hybrid from a regular human being?
Well, I had a dear friend who was a hybrid. She had 3 or 4 different races in her, and one of them was reptilian. And she was a very, very loving individual. She's since passed on. But her father worked in the military, and they were in contact with these different races, and they were collecting DNA samples from them, as well as allowing them to collect DNA samples from the people they were in contact with. So what they did was they took his sperm and they took a embryo, and they injected it with these different races, and then this embryo was also implanted into the mother, and so she was very unique looking in the sense that her skin was kind of a glowing white, that was kind of hard to explain, but not like pockmarked, but had texture to it. And her eyes were almost aqua, and her fingers and hands were not. They were human-like, but they weren't exactly human. So there are others that are other hybrids that I've met that look just like regular humans, but they were injected with DNA as well in the embryos before their birth, so they say, and that this DNA wasn't, and the race was semi-human but not full human. So, but because they are advanced geneticists, they can sort of pick out the genes and the things there. And so what they're doing is they're really putting in the evolvement and the intelligence genes for these beings to grow up very quickly and become extremely spiritual and get on and start whatever mission that they came here to do. And that's usually done through raising consciousness in whatever job that they're in.
Right. Question coming from a little bit off topic, but coming from Sparkles in our Space Travelers Club. She is asking, Craig, do the inhabitants of Venus live underground?
Yes, they do. It is said that all the planets in our solar system are inhabited on the interior of the planets. How it was explained to me is that just like when they build a giant mothership and they have different floors and things like that, they actually have outdoor settings. And these outdoor settings have what they call a synchrotron sky. And these skies are infinite. So when you look up, it's like you were actually on the outside of a planet, but you're inside. And the synchrotron skies go from day to night, just like it would on the outside of a planet. And some floors can be all night, some floors can be all day, some floors go from day to night, etc. And so they do have all those comforts. So a lot of the planets, they do the same thing. They can terrace. They take like a energy sheet of paper and make it as long as they want and wide, and then they can use that energy and push the rock and rubble and dirt as high as far as they want. They can compact it. Their energy shields hold everything into place, and then they can create their lakes, streams, oceans, things like that. Dr. Frank told me that Valiant Thor's house on the interior of Venus was actually set on a lake in a forest setting, and his house was sort of a glass house, and that it was the way it was explained to him, that it was a very, very beautiful setting, and that type of thing. So yes, the way I understand it is that that all of this is there, and as well as the interior of our Earth, because the Agarthan network supposedly has 120 different cities beneath the Earth, Telos being the capital city, which is beneath Mount Shasta. A mile beneath Mount Shasta.
Interesting.
Yes.
All right, this kind of leads into Kira's question. And she is asking, Craig, do you know anything about the tall white beings living below Uluru in Australia?
I've only heard of the tall whites that are living just outside of Las Vegas. That's part of the whole Charles Hall, where Charles Hall worked for the government facility. One part of the facility was Greys. The other part of the facility were tall white beings, and they were tall white with sort of bluish eyes, wispy hair, and they went through several people that were sort of like the guard in between all of these things, and the thing is that from what Charles Hall said is that the Greys and the tall whites were very skittish about humans, and I think he may have said that they did off some because they were in fear that they were going to do something to them as well. I remember him saying that the Greys didn't really give a crap about their kids, but the tall whites did, and that that he did interact with them as well, and sort of got to know them for a while, and whatever span of time he was there. He's written some books about it, and he does, when COVID's over, he usually does in Las Vegas once or twice a year. He will sort of do a little symposium at one of the hotels, and that's where I went. And then I went afterwards. Lori Wagner was with me, and some other people. Chris Bledsoe, I don't know if you've ever had him on your show.
Yes.
A good friend of mine as well. And so we all went out to dinner with Charles and his wife and his son afterwards, and got to hear more stories and things like that. So his book is very interesting. I didn't have enough room to put the tall whites in here, but I would assume they would probably be along the lines of the same race. They're just set up bases somewhere else. And from what I understand, they have been here a really long time. Like thousands of years, from what I understand.
All right. Annie is asking, if Valiant Thor was a created being, who created him?
So my understanding of created beings is that the source or the Godhead, or however you want to look at it, when a created being, a job needs to be done, that they create a created being that can be created as an adult, and that adult immediately goes into their mission and has full cognition, right? Or in a different context, that in a celestial event, they are born from a womb of light as an infant, and then they are given to celestial parents to raise as well. So those are two scenarios that I've been told of how created beings come about, because they don't have belly buttons.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get to another question. Armando is asking, what are your thoughts on the practice of opening Zendras or portals?
Well, I think you would just, Zendras, hopefully, the only time I've ever heard of Zendras is with Alpha Centaurians, which are very benevolent beings. So portals, I believe, as long as intentions and things of that nature are good and benevolent. But what you have to remember is when you're done, you have to close that portal, and you also have to bless that situation, because you don't want to leave that portal open for other things to get in and out that are sort of sifting through the astral world. And especially if you're doing this in your own home.
All right. Let's continue on here. We got some more audience questions. Sovereign is asking, I do not buy that the Pleiadians are friendly, since they're an offshoot of the Draco Reptilians. Do you feel the same?
I have never believed that they were an offshoot of the Draco Reptilians at all. They're actually an offshoot of the Lyrans. But I think at a certain point, now there are renegade Pleiadians. There are, like I said, in all races, there are all these little offshoot factors as well. And I've also heard that Reptilians captured a lot of Pleiadians and sort of converted them in through DNA manipulation and things of that nature. So I think there is a whole lot more that we don't know on that, but would be fascinating to know in the future.
All right. Follow up from Sovereign. Is it true that Paradise, California was an experiment above ground alien town?
Well, I don't know that. I mean, that's a conspiracy. I do know two people that lived in Paradise Valley. And I've not had the chance to actually ask them what they thought. But when these theories sort of surface, I always wonder, where did they originate from? Because usually some things have a thread of truth in them somewhere.
I've never heard that story. What is that?
Well, I think I can't remember the whole thing, but I think it was like an experiment to see what they could do with, and I can't remember if it was a machine or an energy or something like that, because the way that they say that the fire and that kind of stuff did it was not the way fire would actually melt metal and kill stuff. That's all I remember from that story.
Interesting. Very interesting. Annie is wondering, getting back to the Zendras for a second.
Sure.
Does everyone return from a Zendra?
Well, that I don't know, but I do know the one that was in Mount Shasta, everyone was, I believe, outside the Zendra, looking into the Zendra. And I think they were not allowed to touch, but I'm not sure. I did have a friend that was there, was not there for it, but was on the outskirts watching it from afar.
I still want to try one.
Me
Still
too.
want to try one. Craig, let's do that together.
I would love that.
Let's do it.
I would love that.
Me too, man. Me too. Max is asking a two-part question. Number one, how do you come by all of your information?
Well, I discussed all that at the beginning of the show. So do you want me to go back into that
give them the
explanation
highlights.
again?
Give them the highlights.
Well, the highlights are I've been immersed in the UFO community for over 35 years. So I've read up on all the contactee cases, abduction cases. I know all of the pertinent right now hypnotherapists. And I've gone on research cases. Actually, the being whose picture I took in the back of the book, that is from the Chris Bledsoe case. That's one of the beings from his case that I caught on film.
All right. Second question from Max would be, do the Dracos actually resemble dragons?
Some of them do. Some of them resemble dragons. Some of them resemble all different types of reptiles. They're the real powerful ones are built very powerfully. They're very intimidating. They're very tall. They've got that thick reptile skin. You know, they've got those sort of bony plates and scutes and everything that sort of goes along with it. And then those eyes. I mean, the reptilian eyes, when they're bigger on these bigger faces and things like that, are quite frightening, to say the least.
All right. We got 2 minutes. I got two questions. So let's try and get them both in. Persevere is asking, can a vortex be used to travel to other planes or dimensions, from what you found out?
Yes, you can travel via thought and go there in your mind, and you're actually there and you're still having an experience.
All right. And finally, from Eugene, what did you think of the movie Final Fantasy, if you saw it?
I did not see it.
What's your favorite alien movie out there, then?
Starman.
Really?
I love Starman. I don't know why. I just love that movie. I thought it was great.
I'm still sticking with Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yes, of course. Of course. That's one of my favorites as well.
And I am really surprised that they have never made a sequel to that. It would be so great to see Richard Dreyfuss and his character come back from the spaceship.
Yes. That would be great, wouldn't it?
Oh.
And he could come back young, because they can do that in CGI now.
Right? I would love to see that. Me
too.
To see that. I mean, it's just I that's the one movie I would love to be made. But I mean, hopefully they don't see, if they do, they don't CGI the hell out of it so it looks fake. Craig, thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio. Tell everybody where they can find your book.
Sure. You can get the Extraterrestrial Species Almanac at Autobiography of ANET.com and just click on other books. And on the homepage, you can find my Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial Saga 4-part book series. I sign all the books for everybody and personalize them. And all things Stranger at the Pentagon is strangeratthepentagon.com. And you can see the short film there or on Amazon Prime.
Appreciate you coming on Spaced Out Radio, my friend. Hopefully it's not a couple of years before we have you back.
I know. Thank you so much, Dave. This was so much fun.
It was a lot of fun. You hold on. We're going to go to commercial here on Spaced Out Radio. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire, the thought of the day, as we take this thing home right after this break. Good job, my friend.
Thank you so much, Dave. That was great. And it flew by.
I know.
It just flew by. It goes by so fast.
I know.
So.
And yet, I found out the mystery as to why Lori is not listening to the show live, and that's because she's hanging out in Hawaii right now.
That's right.
Oh,
that's right.
Vicious lady.
In Hawaii.
Vicious lady. Didn't even ask if we wanted to go. Oh, I hear you.
God. Well, it's like 5 hours earlier there, isn't it?
I think I think it's 2 or 3, maybe 4.
Yeah, I'm
not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. My friend, I got to go get ready for the news, but thank you so
All
much.
Right.
And we'll talk to you very soon,
Dave.
okay?
All right.
Take care,
brother.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Great guy. Craig Campobasso. Derek on Twitter. How'd you like the woo tonight, my friend? How did you like the woo? Because we were totally wooing it up big time. Totally wooing it up. Just making sure. I see you the hyperventilating gif. Oh, I love that one. I knew I did it right when you start throwing that one out there. All right, Unicorps, welcome and good night to you, my friend. Good night, Unicorps. It's time to go. Off-world Adam, there's been no flatulence tonight on the show, except from Sovereign Farts in the chat room. Doo-doo. Hey, National Memorial, how are you? Sean Cahill had a squeaky chair last night, and a few people, like Adam and Brian, think that he ripped one. And when Sean denied it on Twitter, after he was asked, they've now tried to blame me, and there was no fart last night on the show. All right? No fart last night on the show. Race fan, there's only one problem with your theory. The show's Canadian. Hey, Fapster, again, thank you, brother. I appreciate the super chat. I do, man. Thank you. Brian, you know, being a Mets fan, I expect this from you. I do. Listen to Awesome Annie Svensson. Get out of the cosmic sewer. There was no flatulence last night. Sickos. Absolute sickos. You tell them, Annie. You tell the world. Give him crap, Annie. Do I know what a splart is? No. No, I do not. Brian, I couldn't take your money. I would feel bad. Because you would be handing it over to me in tears. You guys make me laugh. Thank you, Fabster, for the double super chat tonight. Really appreciate it, man. You're awesome. Thank you to everyone who's given us a thumbs up, thumbs down. And here we go. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really, really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Speaking of the news, let's do this thing, shall we? The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the wacky, the zany, and sometimes the spatial. Now, this is really cool. NASA released never-before-seen videos and audios of the Perseverance rover landing on the surface of Mars. The footage contained a detailed look at the rover's parachute. A savvy space enthusiast soon uncovered a hidden message written on it. The parachute may have appeared to feature a purely decorative red and white pattern on it, but after scientists hinted at the secret message, those who are familiar with binary code uncovered it within a matter of hours. NASA scientists hid the phrase, "Dare mighty things," in the parachute's pattern, with parts of the pattern representing different numbers. It's a popular slogan of the Perseverance team at NASA's Jet Propulsion Territory, or laboratory, that is. The outer rings of the pattern also feature GPS coordinates for JPL's offices in Pasadena, California. In addition to enabling incredible science, we hope our efforts in our engineering can inspire others, Alan Chen said. The entry, descent, and landing lead for the mission said during a press conference, "Sometimes we leave messages in our work for others to find for that purpose. So we invite you all to give it a shot and show your work." Chief Perseverance engineer Adam Stelzner confirmed the message late Monday night. On Twitter, he says it looks like the internet has cracked the code in something like 6 hours. Oh, internet, is there anything you can't do? How cool is that? The slogan is just one of many Easter eggs hidden aboard the rover, which also carries microchips stenciled with nearly 11 million names of space enthusiasts and the phrase, explore as one. It also carries a COVID-19 memorial in the form of an aluminum plate with an image of Earth supported by the rod of Asclepius, an ancient Greek symbol for healing and medicine. NASA has a history of including these little Easter eggs on its rovers. The Curiosity rover, which arrived on the Mars in 2012, has tiny holes in its wheels that read JPL in Morse code. So when Curiosity traveled across Mars' surface, it stamped JPL into the soil wherever it went, erased shortly after by harsh Martian winds. These kinds of embellishments add artistic elements on the mission that are otherwise solely dominated by science and technology, as well as lasting tributes to colleagues who have helped pave the way for humanity's exploration of space, said Jim Bell of Arizona State University, who has helped festoon almost all of NASA's Mars rovers, including Perseverance. How about putting a Tesla car on Mars? Let's just do that. It's a lot more fun, but the Easter eggs are kind of cool. Now, this hunter up here in British Columbia, farmer in British Columbia, this guy literally has cojones of steel. Cojones of steel. Chris Paulson is his name. And why? Well, let me tell you this story. He saw a lynx, which is about 70, 80 pounds, ripping up chickens in his chicken coop. So what does he do? He runs into the cage with the lynx cat, and he doesn't kill it, doesn't shoot it. No. This is what he does. He grabbed the cat by the scruff of the neck, gave it a good shaking. All right, I don't know if he actually shook it or not. Okay, but he grabbed the cat by the scruff of the neck, lifted it off the ground, and then started scolding it on camera, holding the cat in one hand and his cell phone in the other, while he's giving the cat heck for killing a couple of the chickens. He just looked a bit like a kid with its hand in the chocolate chip bag, Paulson says. Near his home near Decker Lake, west of Prince George, which is about 3.5, 4 hours north of the studio here. So I kind of gave him a little lecture and then told him he shouldn't come back. The cat has been in the middle of its hunt when Paulson found it. The lynx had feathers in its mouth. He didn't want to leave without the chicken, Paulson said. I tried to scoot him out of there, but he was so focused on his prey, so I just reached down, picked him up like a house cat does with its kitten. Paulson estimates the cat, which killed 2 of its chickens, weighed about 11 kilograms. Okay, so maybe not 60, 70 pounds. It was a small one. But Paulson said he wasn't too worried about his safety as he held the wild animal off the ground by the scruff of his neck. That's just how their mothers subdue them when they're getting too rambunctious, he said, and they just go limp and submissive. Farmers often shoot wild animals that attack their livestock, but Paulson said he was able to give the lynx put it in a dog kennel before relocating it a little bit further in the bush. The lynx was so skinny that Paulson and his family decided to leave the 2 dead chickens with the animal in the bush. The dead chickens, named Frida and Birdie, will be missed by the Paulson's children, who have named the lynx now Tough Nut. It's not the first time in recent weeks that this family has faced off with predators. 1 month ago, a great owl killed 2 chickens, Blackie and Denelectro, said Paulson's wife, Rochelle. As Van Zanten tried to come to the chicken's aid, the owl flew at her head. The owl hit me right in the headlamp and then left my head tingling, she said. Wow. Yeah. See, you got to be ready to brawl up here. There's a lot of wild animals up here. You got to be ready to brawl. The conservation officer who stopped by said he didn't recommend handling the lynx with bare hands. You could certainly lose an armpit, Jeff Palm said. The conservation officer said, while some people may think what happened was preferable to shooting and killing the lynx, it is technically illegal to capture live wildlife and move them to a new location and can result in a fine. Oh, give the guy a break. Give the guy a break. He didn't do anything wrong. Now, here's a hideous story. Hundreds of coffins yeah, they're full, not empty ones, tumbled from their resting place into northwest Italy when a landslide destabilized a 100-year-old cliffside cemetery. Video shows emergency workers in boats searching for the estimated 200 coffins in the waters off Camogli near Genoa. 2 chapels were also swept onto the rocks below the graveyard. The village mayor told media it was an unimaginable catastrophe in an area prone to cliff collapse. The cemetery walls had rows of coffins entombed in the traditional Italian style. Workers close by captured footage of the moment the walls began to shake and crack. Seconds later, they broke apart and crashed into the Ligurian Sea beneath the fishing village. Pictures show several coffins floating in muddied waters. Yeah, this type of collapse that happened today is very hard to detect or to predict, Francesco Oliveri has said. He's the mayor. Local workers had noticed cracks in the cliffs and realized there was a risk of collapse in the days before. The area had been also cordoned off because the last few days there had been strange creaking sounds. Creaking sounds. Yeah, that's enough to scare you. Divers from the fire brigade, Coast Guard, and firefighters have been assisting in the search for the remains of the cemetery. Around 10 of the estimated 200 coffins have been recovered. You imagine going fishing there? Hey, I got the big one. Ugh. All right, we're going to get to a little animal porno here. A photographer in a safari in South Africa was left stunned when he noticed 3 squirrels engaged in a tree threesome. A tree threesome. Luckily for us, he wasn't too stunned to capture the all-important snap. Yeah, Max Waugh from Seattle was photographing a family of mongooses, or is it mongoose? Mongooses or mongoose? Or is it just singular mongoose? When he was caught off guard by the horny rodents. Like any photographer and, perverted nature, Max wasted no time in snapping away the squirrel sex string that Mother Nature had presented to him. Yes, Squirrel Hub was apparently filming as well. He said it was a total surprise, thought it would be pretty weird if it wasn't, wouldn't it? He said it was completely unexpected and obviously appeals to one's more juvenile sense of humor. More seriously, I'm always excited to capture rare and unexpected animal behavior. Well, you caught this one. Yep, you caught this one. He said, based on the order, left to right, my best guess is it was female, male, male. Oh, okay. But there's no guarantees of that. If, for instance, there has been more to do with dominance display than simple mating attempts, it's conceivable that there could have been leather masks, straps, chairs, and other toys available for the squirrels to use as well. Squirrels. Yes. So, Max here reckons that other photographers can learn from this example as whether any broader insights can be gleaned from this bushy-tailed orgy. In this case, we were there to photograph little mongooses, whatever they are, rather than elephants, lions, or leopards, and it ultimately ended up with a trip highlight thanks to the perverted squirrels, which no one would have predicted prior to the trip. It is not known whether or not the squirrels continued to be filmed on camera. Perverts. Jacksonville Zoo and Gardens is mourning the death of a female jaguar who was attacked and killed by a younger male jaguar over the weekend. Yeah, the zoo said that the female cat, 21-year-old Zenta, was killed by 12-year-old male Harry in a holding complex at the Florida facility. While zookeepers tried frantically to separate Zenta and Harry, they were unsuccessful. The animal health team was called to immobilize Harry, but Zenta was already dead from the attack before they arrived. Zenta's death is a result of a terrible mistake, and we are reviewing all aspects of this awful occurrence. Dan Maloney, the deputy zoo director for animal care, conservation, and wellness, said both jaguars were contained at all times, and our team responded safely and swiftly. Zenta came to Jacksonville in 2006 after she was rescued from a private zoo, and Harry was born at the zoo in 2009. Yes, apparently we are devastated by the sudden sad event. Zenta will be sorely missed as she was a favorite of both the staff and guests alike. According to Maloney, the zoo is investigating the brutal attack in order to mitigate this type of incident in the future. Yes, because you can always try to mitigate wild animals. It doesn't matter if they've been in the zoo for a long time, they're still wild. They will act as wild animals. I feel bad for the cat. I do. Because jaguars are gorgeous. If you've never been up close, I've literally been within like a foot of one. A foot, literally. They are fantastic. But the one thing I learned from the trainer of that jaguar, they are jerks. They don't care who they kill as long as they kill. That's the way they are. It's something like straight out of a nightmare. Venomous spiders have been found inside a University of Michigan library, causing the building to be shut down for 2 days. Why? They're probably going to torch the building. Get the books out safely first, because you never want to torch books. The small number of venomous Mediterranean recluse spiders were uncovered in the basement mechanical room of Shapiro Undergraduate Library in late January during a routine building check. Closing the library was a misunderstanding, and there aren't any other spider sightings since then. Based on what we know, according to the spokespeople, library managers agree that it was a mistake to close the building, and they apologize for the inconvenience to the university community. But the spiders have also been identified in basements and remote areas of other buildings on campus due to low occupancy, and those buildings are also being treated by pest management. The Mediterranean recluse spider is a cousin of the brown recluse, but is even more reclusive. More reclusive. I think we could get more reclusive than the reclusive spider. As the name implies, they are reclusive and bites are extremely rare. Annie Danielson-Francois, Associate Professor of Biology at the Michigan University, said Mediterranean recluse spiders prefer basement spaces, tunnels, and other hideaways where there is a decrease in foot traffic. Daniel Francois worked with the school to determine the identity of the spider after examining samples found in traps. The University of Michigan has cautioned those working in the basement areas to wear long-sleeve shirts, hats, and gloves, and shoe covers, so that way no spiders could crawl in and give the creepy crawlies. A Canadian snow maze that was certified as the world's largest by Guinness World Records is almost now twice as large to allow for social distancing. The snow maze at the outdoor entertainment venue, a maze in Corn in St. Adolphe, Manitoba, was certified as the largest in 2019 when it covered 30,021 square feet and 110 square inches. Well, Angie Massey, owner of the maze, said this year's snow maze covers about 57,600 square feet to allow for social distancing. With COVID and everything, we wanted to make it bigger, and so this year it's about 91% bigger than the world's largest title that we hold now. She said the maze took about 6 weeks to build. And finally, to be this sheep. Sometimes you just need a haircut. A sheep found living in the wild in Australia was given an overdue shearing and instantaneously lost 78 pounds. God, I wish it was that easy. I really do, because I could use a good shearing if it meant losing 78 pounds. The Edgar's Mission Farm Sanctuary said the sheep, now named Barak, was found living in the wild near Victoria, and rescuers believe it was on its own for several years. The sanctuary said it appeared that Barak once had an ear tag, but his overgrown fleece caused the tag to be torn out. Barak was given a shearing, his first in several years. They removed the wool, and it weighed, once again, 78 pounds. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Day is as follows. What alien ET species have you had contact with? Sean, rock the Gaspar. None, zero, zilch. Although I have felt dark evil presences in my room on more than one occasion. Very scary. Stephen, Not sure of their name. I have missing time and remember a face. It looked reptilian, but not like any pic I've ever seen. Soul has dealt with the invisible men in white. Tom Dongo, former guest, tall whites and a Nordic. We did not speak. Katie, taller, thin, grayish, squat, well-rounded bluish, a sliding door with odd glowing writing on the outside of the door, being under a great, not alone, overwhelming smell I don't know how to describe. I was 4 or 5. There used to be more details, but it's been a long time. Kira, many different ones through theta meditation and remote viewing. The most memorable were the tall white crystal beings that live in Uluru, Ayers Rock in Australia. They showed me the crystalline city and energy that heals Earth, a beautiful and peaceful mind-altering experience. Davy, classic grays for me. They have been visiting me since I was a baby. My mother used to hear me in my room talking to them. My attitude to them and relationship with them has changed many times over the years. Dr. Marty, I call them blue angels, but others refer to them as the blue beings in meditation, overwhelming feelings of love, waves and waves of love. Penman Michael, a couple of small grays when I was about 10 years old. Long story. Nikki, Lyrans, Laborians, Reptilians, various grays, tall whites, certain types of insectoids, numerous hybrid races of ETs, and multiple others. I won't go into the type of contact nor communication, though. Kimberly, 4-foot grays, 5-foot glowing gray types, and mantises, or mantids. Okay. Could you imagine seeing a mantid looking at you with its grasshopper type of head? No, there's nothing freaky about that. Nothing whatsoever. All right, let's see where this one goes. Let's go to Twitter. UFO bro. I don't know. It was just a UFO itself every time. It's at the beginning. Let's see where the beginning of this one is. Oh, this one is way too much. Way too much. We'll go like this. I'd never seen a being before. I've seen a shadow person during sleep paralysis. While in the next room over, my mom claimed to be visited by 2 child-sized beings. Then I walked into my brother's room the same month and saw an orange soccer ball-sized glowing orb hovering above him in his bed. That was crazy. Well, yes, it was. Yes, it was. Let's see who else we got here. Matt, could you outline your experience? What did it look like? What happened? He's talking about the one with Samantha Mowat. Yeah, that one's too hard. And Richard, I have been interacting with UFOs and aliens for over 3 years, probably many different types, but they all have one thing in common. They are amazing artists. Wouldn't you like to see some alien art? Real alien art? That would be kind of cool. That would be very, very cool. You know what? We're going to wrap this thing up because we are done the thought of the day. Thank you to everyone participating on both Facebook and Twitter. We'll do it all again tomorrow because that's what we like to do around here. So make sure you join on in and check it on out. Thank you to Captain Shirk for a great SOR Newswire and to Craig Campobasso for coming in and discussing the Alien Almanac, his new book. Always like talking the aliens here. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight on Spreaker, YouTube, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and all the snarkers and snarkettes enjoying the woo at hashtag Spaced Out Radio on Twitter. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. Woohoo! Close that off. Close this off. Move that up. Shut this down. Oh. How we all doing? How are we all doing? Download this sucker right now. Move that there. Move that there. Open that there. Get that ready there. Hello, Bombshell Bomber. Hey, Poulet de Bleu. Bonjour. TFE, good night. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anything is going there. So yeah, Corrance and I are having a little bit of issue here because I was using GoDaddy email, and GoDaddy decided to switch over to Microsoft Live 365. What a BS program that has turned out to be. They just switched it over today. And it's horrible. Emails are missing. Everything's missing right now. Everything. Took me an hour just to find out where my email was before I finally found it. It's the type of crap that drives you nuts. I don't know if they sold out or not, but I know it's now all Live 365. So I was going to think about switching over to a business account on Google, but it's just so much more expensive. That's the problem. Actually, check that out. Don't really know how much this costs. Go to pricing. How many emails do you get with that? So it's not like 15 per email or something. Just want to see what's it like. Okay, we got the cost, but how many emails? What's included? Let's type in the included. All right. No, I understand that. No. Don't friggin' know. How many emails do you get with that? One? Oh no. Yes. Hey, Desert Clam, are you still listening? Oh, let's go here. Oh, shit. Maybe I would like to see you guys. Can you see if you can... You're good with that computer stuff. Can you see how many emails you could get off a Google Business Plan? Because I will pull this shit from GoDaddy here. Because this Live 365 is terrible. Yes, but what I'm curious in that 1560 is how many emails do you get with that? So, for instance, on GoDaddy, I think we got like 5 or 7 emails regarding that. You know, so that we could build. So I'm just curious if that's $15.60 per email, or if it's that's a monthly cost, so you could put a certain amount of people on. That's what I'm curious about. You know, I just don't trust Microsoft because they are the kings of it. If it isn't broken, let's fix it anyways. You know, they're the kings of that. Oh, I know that, Brian. I know that. I got a sense of humor, bro. Don't like Microsoft. Up to 30 emails for $15? Yeah, I'll have to talk to Corrance about that once we get that sorted out. I wonder if that's in Canadian dollars or if that's in American dollars. I'll have to have a conversation with Corrance, the booking guy, about that. All right, cool, Clamor. Thank you for that. Hey, Clam, could you do me a favor? Could you message me on our Facebook Messenger your phone number? I want to ask you something. And I'll give you a call tomorrow if I remember to. Actually, I'll make a note for myself here. All right, let's now. Got it, Clam. Thank you. March 5th, Corinth, the booking guy is Art Keith. Roundtables week before, like in 2 days or 2 shows. All right. I have to give a phone call to Lorian Fenton here and talk to her about a conference coming up. So I'm going to have to cut out of here a little bit early tonight and chat with Lorian. But if we could meet all tomorrow at the same time, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you, FAP, for the super chats. Thank you to all our new subscribers as we're drawing extra closer to 11,000 subscribers, which is really cool. And a big thank you to everybody tuning on in tonight. She's doing a virtual conference, I think, a week or 2 from now. So, but much love, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow night, okay? Take care, guys. Good night.